Welcome back. Time to play a game here on Midco Sports Tonight. It's the part of the show reserved for Head2Head, brought to you by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort. I ask the questions. Our Midco SM personalities argue their answers with a time limit. There are rebuttals allowed, but all in all, the first person to win 3 debates on the day is that day's champion. And this season is winding down, but we have been keeping track of all the standings all season long, and we are having an epic head-to-head single elimination tournament towards the end of the spring. Not very far away, with a winner being crowned when that is all said and done. So, going head-to-head today, can I just say, it is never easy to bring your A game in this event on a Monday, but if anyone could do it, it would be these two. Greg Enkers up in West Fargo, and right here in Sioux Falls, Jay Elson. We did a coin flip. Greg did not get to take part in it. And with that, Jay is going first. So are you guys ready?
We're ready. Let's dance.
All right, perfect. Starting with the Kentucky Derby, Justify became the first 3-year-old to win the Kentucky Derby in 136 years on Saturday. What was your biggest accomplishment at age 3? I'm just kidding. Will he win the Triple Crown?
Well, you know, that's a tough question. I can't remember what I was doing when I was 3. But anyway, beside the point, Justify is trying to become the 13th horse in the history of horse racing to win that Triple Crown. He's the 6th straight now post-time favorite to actually win the Kentucky Derby. So there's precedent set there. But of that group, only one of them, American Pharoah in 2015, actually went on to be crowned the Triple Crown champion. So the odds are not certainly stacked in his favor, but I like his chances simply because of the way he won on Saturday. Did it in the sloppiest conditions in the history of the Kentucky Derby.
3 years old, you can do anything. All right, Greg.
I give Justify a lot of credit for winning Saturday's race at the Kentucky Derby because of the conditions that Jay mentioned, but I'm going with an emphatic no. I don't think this horse is going to win the Triple Crown simply because I think the odds are just too great. It doesn't happen all that often, and it seems to happen less and less likely as we're in the current format of horse racing. And I think ultimately, it's the Belmont that's going to trip up Justify, as it does so many horses, because it's a longer race. It's racing 3 straight times, and this horse doesn't, I think, have the experience, having not run as a 2-year-old, to get the job done. So I say an emphatic no.
Yeah, do you know what's happened to even less, though, than the Triple Crown winners, Greg? The 3-year-old winning the Kentucky Derby. It's happened just twice. He's the 2nd horse ever to do it. Oh, and by the way, he's 4-0 now as a 3-year-old.
Wow,
no
I
question
wasn't
about
even 4-0 as a 3-year-old. So with that, Jay Elson. All right, question number 2. Chuck Brennan announced last week that Badlands Motor Speedway will be put up for auction if not sold by June 13th. Levi Vanderwhite, start saving up. Is this good news or bad news for local racing, Greg?
I really think it's good news for racing. Anything to get that track back up and running, I think, is going to be good for local racers. I think the only bad side to it, if you want to say it, is probably the group selling, because they're probably not going to get the top dollar that they want to get out of it at an auction. But I think for the racing community, it is absolutely a good thing to get another track up and running, more options. It's in a great location to draw in a lot of drivers. So yes, let's get Badlands back up and running. Quicker, the better.
I have to agree that it is good news, potentially great news, mostly because that the current ownership regime will be out of the picture and we can get back to racing at one of the most historic facilities in our region without a question. Now, the only reservation I have, or the only fear that I have, is that someone from outside the sport comes in and swoops in and takes advantage of this opportunity to buy it and change it into something completely unrelated to racing. I have heard that there is one potential buyer that is interested in turning this into a concert venue. And that would be terrible. I think there's a lot of people out there that support the sport of racing, particularly at that facility. And so that's the last thing we need, is to see someone come in and try and change it into something else.
I hope that person realizes that the dollars and cents in a concert venue probably not going to be there. You're going to have to rely too much, I think, on the weather to make that profitable. Get it, keep it racing.
I agree. I think you have to be afraid of that, because it is an auction setting. Literally, whoever comes in, he said he's going to sell it off to a single buyer. If that person comes in and they've got the coin, they can get it done. So it's time for the racing community. It's on them to step up and make sure that that doesn't happen.
We ain't never scared. We're going with Greg Anchors on this one. Oh my goodness. So yes, with that all tied up, I guess I should probably write the score down. Greg and Jay, 1-1. All right, we're going to talk some hockey, huh? The Fargo Force have advanced to the Clark Cup Finals for the 4th time in franchise history. Will this be the year they finally win it all, Jay?
Well, first off, we got to give this organization some credit because this is their 4th trip, and they're only in their 10th year of existence. That is an impressive run to get your franchise off and running. But my bottom line is, yes, this is finally the year. They lost it the other 3 times. I think this is the year they get it done. The Western Conference has been far superior all season long. They played tougher teams to get here. And, oh, by the way, they have home ice advantage for the Clark Cup Finals, and the Force are 6-0 at Shields Arena here in the postseason.
Woofda. All right, Greg, what do you got?
Ultimately, yeah, I do think that this is going to be the year. This is, and you're right. Congratulations to the franchise, Kerry Eads and everybody, because this is a team that entered the season having lost 95% of their goals from a year ago, started from scratch with a new goaltender, so to get here is no small feat. The difference maker, I think, in this series against Youngstown is going to be goaltending. The Fargo Force allowed 53 fewer goals during the regular season than Youngstown. Youngstown was actually outscored during the regular season. And I bring up the regular season here only because it's a larger sample size. Both teams have done great getting to the Clark Cup final, but yes, this is the year for the Fargo Force.
Yeah, Youngstown finished with 73 points. That was good enough for 2nd in the East, just kind of emphasizing that point. They would have finished 5th or 6th in the Western Conference with what they did in the regular season.
Greg's goal argument was convincing, so I'm going with that. Greg Anchors, you're up 2-1. Heading into question 4. All right. Ooh, this one. I like this one. Reports surfaced this weekend that South Dakota native Becky Hammond will be interviewed for the Milwaukee Bucks head coaching job. Will she get it, Greg?
I think she should. I think the experience that she's gotten working under Greg Popovich in San Antonio, I mean, that is a class organization at the NBA level to learn under, and one of the best coaches, I think, of all time to learn under as well. And I think she's got the credentials to do it. Looking at her history, just getting that assistant job in the groundbreaking role that she did, I think she is as qualified as anybody else that's going to apply for that job. I think Milwaukee would be foolish not to give it to her. Ultimately, though, I don't think she will get it, but I think that she should.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Greg, and I think anybody who thinks that this is some kind of publicity stunt is absolutely crazy. You look at this woman; she's a 16-year WNBA vet. She's already the first full-time assistant in any of the 4 major American sports, and so she has the credentials. Popovich has come out and said as much. LeBron James has supported her publicly. The only thing working against her has nothing to do with the fact that she's a female. It's the fact that NBA assistants traditionally do not get the first job that they interview for as a head coach. And so I think that's the only thing that's going to work against her here. It's still going to be fantastic experience. I think she will be the first female head coach in NBA history. I just don't think it's going to be for Milwaukee.
I agree with you guys. Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm going to have to go with Jay on this one.
Ooh, toss up.
I know, right?
Awesome.
Just, yeah, with the point about assistant coaches interviewing for their first head job. Nothing to do with her being a woman at all, but it usually just doesn't happen. But I can't wait to see where she goes when she does get that job, because that's going to be awesome. All right, all tied up. Heading into question number 5, more basketball. Who has been more impressive in the NBA playoffs? LeBron James or Boston head coach Brad Stevens?
Oh, man, you really can't go wrong with either guy that you pick here. And I think if you look at LeBron, the only thing I'll say there is that nothing surprises you anymore with what he does. I mean, this is the guy that we're used to seeing. Doesn't take anything away with what he's accomplished for his team in this postseason. But we are learning exactly how good of a coach Brad Stevens is. He has no Kyrie Irving. He's got no Gordon Hayward. Most people thought the Bucks were going to eliminate them in the first round, and now all of a sudden they're a win away from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. So Brad Stevens, we all know he was a good coach. I think we're seeing that he's a great coach right now.
All right, Greg.
I agree a lot there with what Jay had to say regarding Brad Stevens. I think what he has done has been absolutely impressive, but I think more to what is the credit to Brad Stevens isn't just what he has been doing in the playoffs. It is the culture that he has built up from day one that he stepped into that franchise. And I think what he has done has been remarkable. But just looking at these playoffs, oh my goodness, what LeBron James has done single-handedly for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think is something that frankly can't be matched in this postseason. Just looking at that body of work, what he means to that team, what he can do in an individual game, he's carrying that team to the Eastern Conference Finals, no question.
I've got nothing to disagree with you there, except for the fact that I just think what Stevens has done with what he's had to work with, and there's a real value here in keeping your guys into this thing mentally. That's a real challenge, especially at the professional level. He's got a team concept there that you just don't really often see in the NBA ranks, and I think that's what makes his just a little bit better in terms of what he's accomplished to this point.
It's special, no doubt, but the groundwork was laid not just in the postseason. It's been a body of work from the first day that he got there, and just looking at who has been more impressive just in the playoffs, you got to go with King James.
You guys, okay, first of all, I got to say mad respect for LeBron James. He has been absolutely phenomenal. But mad respect for Brad Stevens too. But I got to say, the stuff that LeBron has been doing, it's been mind-blowing. It's been crazy. But after he does it, it's like, you know what? LeBron is awesome. And he's accounting for one player. Granted, he's on a team, but it's him. Brad Stevens, this is a whole team thing that he had to manage with all the adversity and everything, and he's still doing what he's doing. So with that, Jay Elson, the winner of the day.
That was a good bout, Greg.
That was a great bout.
Nothing wrong with that.
That went the distance. All right. Thank you guys for playing.
You bet.
If you have any topics or questions you'd like debated, say it one more time for the people in the back. Just kidding. Join the conversation. Let us know. You can tweet them at me. That's at Stuart Midco SN, or to our network account at Midco SN. We would love to hear from you. When we come back, we'll check in on the NDSU women's golf team who teed off in the Madison Regional today of the NCAA tournament, and a rundown of what to expect this week on our network. Stay with us.